I think we're there. Facebook, are we winning? I think we're there. Let's just check on that. Yeah, we're good. Morning. So, what are we talking about today? So, the subject of today's live is things your trading coach should be telling you or suggesting to you or working with you on that they probably aren't. Now, this subject is or has the potential to be quite contentious. And the reason why is a lot of the time there's almost two camps within the sort of trading community, trader education arena. And that's the camp that say that trading coaches are full of shit, trading coaches are just out to make money. If they're so good, why do they teach? The camp that essentially doesn't believe in it. And then you've got the other camp that is more along the lines of getting or trying to get a coach to essentially do the whole job for them. So let's define a couple of things. Firstly, there are a lot of trading coaches. There are a lot of coaches in a lot of areas that don't necessarily do what they say they do. Okay, that's not really the subject of today's conversation. But one of the first things your coach should be doing, and they may not be, is taking relatively similar trades to you. So if you're wanting to be a successful swing trader, then the person that's coaching you in that arena or mentoring you, and I'm going to define it two in a second, you at least need to see them regularly trading the types of setups that you want to trade. So whether that's through something like our live online trading room, where I'm in the morning, I'm going through all the possible trades that I'm going to consider, and then I let all of the guys in our Total Trader program on Telegram know that as well. And then when I'm live in a trade, they know about it. Now, I don't tell them to buy now, I don't tell them to sell, but they have an understanding of the trade I'm going to place. They see my account, they see the winning runs, they see the losing runs, and they see the accumulation, and they see the picture. Because for me, that's very important, because there's almost an element of subconscious learning that goes on as a result of seeing the person that you're learning from actually doing the thing that you're doing. So for me, that's a really, really important element of it, that they have to be doing and living and breathing the thing that they are suggesting or helping you with. Now, when it comes to coaching and mentoring, two things. Now, I do both. Now, within Trader Support Club, I essentially do both. And in the trading room, sometimes I'm teaching a process. So as a result of teaching that process and helping somebody directly to implement that, to me, that's more mentoring. The coaching element is when the person has a challenge, an issue, an obstacle, and rather than me simply say, well, I know everything, go and do that. So often what people will ask me is, what's the best strategy? What's the best solution? And remember, any solution that I have from that comes from my perspective, my personality, my previous trading history, and that might not be the exact answer for that person. So the coaching is designed to get people to come up to their own conclusion. So one of the key things that a coach should be doing that they might not be doing is not always telling you what you should do or what the best solution is actually making it essentially a team effort whereby that particular trader works a lot of that out for themselves using the experience, the skills, the stats, and everything that mentor or coach has available to help them. All right, so that's one of the key things. The second thing that a lot of coaches should be doing, that not necessarily they are doing, is making sure that that trader is able to stand on their own 2 feet. So for example, within our Total Trader program, we've probably got the best part of 16, 17 strategies spanning across position, day, and swing. Now, some of our traders will come in and they will follow those strategies to the letter. But some traders, especially those who've traded before, they'll have a natural tendency to shift that strategy around a bit, maybe try and run the trade for longer, maybe try and do a little bit more with the trade, maybe fiddle around with the stop. And the balance that coach has is to know where that student is in the process and what the best process for that person is. So if somebody's completely new, they've never traded before, I will get an idea of whether that student, new trader, is more suited to against the trend or with the trend, because as a new trader, you don't really want to be trading everything. So trader A might be really good at against the trend, but new trader B might be good at more, or might see with the trend setup. So first of all, I'll get them focusing on one area. And initially, I will get them trading our strategy essentially, literally verbatim, because We know it works. We've got the stats to work it. And then as they get more comfortable with physically placing the trades, physically getting good at recognizing the patterns, dealing with the times when the trade setup looks really good, but actually the trade loses. So getting not only losing trades, but also winning trades, losing trades, because it's going to fall at different times for that particular trader. And then if they start to see things, so maybe they start noticing that the trades run on, then I might encourage them to look at focusing on the maximum exit, logging that data, cross-referencing it to the data we already have, and actually getting them focused on potentially running their trades for longer. That might be something that they naturally want to do. Whereas another trader, it might be after they've managed to get a handle on one strategy, they're more variety orientated. So the next step for them is to give them a different strategy. So a trading coach, especially if it's a trading coach that you are working with in a group, won't necessarily, or the way they should be operating is not necessarily giving you the same guidance that they give the person next to you. All right. Third thing is they must have, I believe, historical data to draw on, or at least obviously historical experience, because it's one thing me saying to a student, right, do this because it works. Well, invariably at some point, if I make that generalization as a statement, what's going to happen is what I've told them that works won't work. Because what I haven't done, if I just said do this because it works, is quantify with them exactly how often it works, what's the likelihood of it not working. Because remember, something can work once, something can work twice, but on the four trade, something could work twice and something could not work twice. That doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't be doing it. So I think it's really important that a coach has trading stats behind what they're doing, not just come from a pure experience point of view. Another thing trading coaches should be doing is understanding human psychology, understanding the four key personality types, whether somebody is a driver, an expressive, analytical or an amiable, and then have the skill to be able to see when that trader is in a situation where they are predominantly more of one of those personality types, because nobody is one single personality type. So the ability to be able to recognize that, the ability to understand fear and greed, but a very important one is to acknowledge whether that student is more results orientated or more process orientated as a general rule, and then notice when those factors come into play. So I've been working with somebody very recently who's heavily process orientated, which is great, and my personal belief is that a trader needs to be focused more on the process than the result. But there are times when analysing the result and focusing on the result and acting as a result of the result is a very, very important thing to do. So again, that's something that I think is really important. A lot of trading coaches don't understand that. So really, I think as an overall premise, a trading coach has to be a trader, has to have trading experience, has to have the data behind, is willing to put their own money and their own trades on the line in front of the people that they coach. But in the same breath, they have to understand human dynamics, they have to understand the basics of fear and greed, they have to understand personality styles, and they have to understand these sort of basic psychological functions so that they're able to marry the two. And the reason I say that is there are people out there that are trading coaches that are actually very good traders, but they're awful coaches. Then in the same breath, there are people out there that understand the coaching principles and have jumped on becoming a trading coach or a performance coach in that arena, but don't actually physically trade themselves. Now, they can still add value, but for me, ultimately, it's a little bit like I want my personal trainer to live and breathe what they do. I don't want to be in a situation where I can do more pull-ups than my personal trainer, or I don't want to be in a situation where my personal trainer is in way worse shape than I am. So they might have the knowledge, but there's a certain element of learning and a certain element of knowledge and wisdom and action that I think comes from that person not necessarily being better in every arena, because as a trading coach, I want my students ultimately to become better traders than me. But they're able to tap into all of that experience, and I'm living and breathing it, be it a bigger size account, more strategies, better return, or a combination of those. So they're able not to look up to me, but be able to learn from the things. And lastly, and one of the most important things that a lot of trading coaches don't do, is they're not willing in front of their students to talk about losing runs. We've been through a losing run recently with one of our strategies, and the guys in the room have said that seeing me go through it seeing me even get frustrated at one point with the number of losers we had. So out of an 8 trade run, I think we had 5 losers, 2 break even, and 1 winner, or it may even been 6 losers, 1 break even. So that process, some of them said, seeing me get a little bit frustrated was good because they realized that the person that's leading them is human as well, which obviously I am. But also on top of that, seeing me cope with that process and not suddenly risk too much, not suddenly trade things I wouldn't do, staying focused on the process, still maintaining and taking the next trade regardless of the previous one. They said the mere fact they were able to follow somebody do that helped them stick to it, because even though they know logically that they're in this for the long term, a little spell of losing trades and a little bit of a drawdown can influence you and make you become more short-term orientated. So for that, I think that is the key thing, that the trader has to be able to show his strengths and has to be able to acknowledge his weaknesses and show his students that he's coaching how he or she is working on that to become a better trader. So essentially, a lot of traders are avoiding doing certain things. So as the coach, if you as the coach can show that there are areas that you're still working on, and as a coach you can show that there are areas that you are better in and areas that you are worse in, but you're still not avoiding the things that need to be done, keeping on top of your data, keeping track of your trades, willing to state what trades you're going to consider and actually tell that group of people why you're going to consider that trade, what are the reasons, but then allow them to step forward and take their own trades. Because essentially you listening to this, if you are thinking, well, I need some coaching, I want guidance from somebody, what you don't want is to become reliant on that coach. So I think lastly, one of the things that trading coaches should be doing that some of them aren't, is they should be focusing less on making the student reliant on them and getting to the point where they're empowering that student to be able to trade on their own as if the coach wasn't there. Guys, hope that was useful. I will be back with you again very soon.